After speaking to the team after the match, what kind of a reaction have you seen out of them?
Well, we trained Monday night, and the guys that played 60 minutes just had kind of a recovery session, but their focus, the player meeting that we had was it's time to look in the mirror, and it's time to kind of, understand and assess what's going on right now and what changes have to be made. I met with the staff. I met with a lot of players individually yesterday and again today, to explain the changes that I'll be making for this week, and to simplify things a little bit, because now it's time for us to, play the guys that we trust, the guys that love the club, the guys that care about, the fans and the badge, and that have that kind of integrity and work ethic. It doesn't matter how much money you're making. It doesn't matter what you've done in the past. All of that, none of it matters. And it's only about what you're going to do today. And I think it's been really good for all of us. I met with our staff and I simplified their roles and told them to just to focus on one thing in their role. And I think it's going to be good, in these times, like I said, on Instagram, it's our greatest glory is not in falling. It's when we get up, and how many times we respond to falling. And rather than put our heads down and be negative, it's time to inspire and push. And other coaches around the league have reached out and they're like, listen, it's just everyone's waiting for Phoenix to turn it around and to get it going in the right direction. And they think that we still have the talent. We still have a good group. We've been playing, well enough, but too many little mistakes. And I think those little mistakes are going to be fixed with accountability.
Are there any of those changes that you can mention to us?
I'm sorry.
I assumed so. I guess why was this the game that pushed you to decide, okay, we need to make changes now?
Well, probably not earlier because of so many injuries. When you have guys going down, when you lose Aiden, you lose Santi, you lose Arturo, Lambert, Musa. I mean, that's an all-pro list right there. Changing the system because of that and changing the style would really be bad for the remaining players, and it shows a lack of faith. It shows a lack of trust. So what we really tried to do is kind of focus on, what we've been teaching them, what we've been working on as a club. But listen, everyone has to deal with injuries. Everyone has to deal with problems, and I think part of it is, I was with the new players and with some of the lack of chemistry. I was trying to force a square peg into a round hole, and rather than constantly, beat my head against the wall and try to get success, it was time for me to reevaluate the players and the talent that we have and make sure that I'm getting the best out of each and every one of them and putting them in positions to succeed. So it took a little bit of time to recognize that guys couldn't do the things that I was asking. And now we will simplify it and put them in positions to succeed.
Are there any difficulties in terms of changing system and formations and stuff like that, given that you're going on the road right now? If this is the time that you are choosing to do it, is there any difficulties that come with that?
Well, if we were changing the system or the style of play for this particular game, no, not really. These are professionals, and they've all played different systems throughout their youth careers growing up, and they understand the game. What it's allowed us to do, though, is to kind of focus on film, and we're starting to study other teams, and we're starting to study individual roles in the film. And rather than look at the games and break down the mistakes, we're going to spend all this week filming our training sessions in the stadium, and then letting them watch themselves and analyze their own performances. And sometimes they say that the best way to learn is to watch yourself do something. So we've said all the right things. Everybody's got the right mentality, and they're all putting in the extra work. But I think now we have to look, everyone has to look in the mirror and question themselves and what they're doing. Long answer for no, not really.
Who are some of the guys in what positions that you said felt like square pegs and round holes?
Can't really say that either. Those are good questions. I give you credit. You're trying, but it gives away too much information.
We'll find out on Saturday, I guess.
You will. It'll be very obvious. Maybe.
What kind of response have you had from the players? I know you talked about it a little bit, but are there any like specific responses that you can say, either good or bad, in terms of changing things up and just how they've responded to that?
Well, the best response for me was immediately after the game, when we had the staff meeting with the players and we talked about accountability, and some of the guys really stepped up and had a lot to say. And Aiden Quinn is a veteran leader, and he was pretty hard on the group, and that's, I think, what they needed to hear. If they keep hearing it from me over and over and over, it becomes like they don't, it's just moot. Whatever, our coach is mad again. But what they need to hear is their teammates holding them accountable. And I need to make sure that that there's trust between myself and the leadership group. And I thought Ben Lunt had a lot of really good things to say. He was very honest and very blunt. And sometimes that's hard in a group setting, but they all called each other out a little bit. It may not be always the best way to handle things, but I think they wanted accountability from one another. They wanted it from the staff. And now it's time to, I guess, as they say, put up or shut up. And they've responded well in training.